Steve Colescott here for Elitefts.com. We're with Strongman, one of the preeminent strongman competitors today, Brian Shaw. Good to have you here.
Absolutely, good to be here.
My hand disappears in the handshake there. I'm not slouching in my seat. Brian is that big. What's your height and weight, just to get that out of the way?
6'8", normally around 430 to 440, somewhere in that range. So
okay. There was a photo shoot earlier, and you were dwarfing some of the equipment. I was looking at it. Must be difficult to find equipment that fits. And
no, absolutely, yeah. It's hard to find anything that fits, honestly. I mean, from clothes, like that's just my life, though. I mean, I don't, I mean, it's I'm not really average for anything, but I mean, training equipment, bar, I mean, it's just, you can go down the list and we could probably talk the whole time about stuff that doesn't work for me, but it's finding stuff that works and making it work.
Is your family, are they large?
Yeah, I've got actually, it kind of worked out pretty well for me because I've got size on both sides. My mom's almost 6 foot and my dad's about 6'1", but I've got big uncles on both sides, and my brother and sister. I mean, they're not like, I think it all worked out for me, genetically.
Yeah.
Which, I had a college professor that always said, if you don't like what you got, you should have picked your parents better.
Yeah.
So I think I did all right on that end.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about how you got started training.
Well, really, for me, it was more in high school. I got started, and I was really focused on playing basketball. But honestly, I've always been super competitive. I mean, that's just been for me, like, since I can remember getting in fights as a little kid because I would lose something. So it's just one of those things where I got started and really wanted to play college basketball was my main focus, to be honest. And I knew that, like, at that time, I kind of figured out if I didn't start training and get stronger, be able to, run faster, jump higher, and compete, that wasn't going to happen. And so that's when I first honestly found the weight room. And for me, it really, it changed my life, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't have been, I was able to earn a full ride, through college to play basketball. And it's really driven me. I mean, the weight room's driven my whole life now, and it's what I do now. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to make what I love into a job, and not the other way around. I mean, it's so I've been very fortunate in that aspect.
Well, when we were out in the gym, I liked how you'd pull me over and ask questions. You were very passionate about the equipment,
sure, absolutely.
And it was like, is kind of toyland out there for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, coming here, this is the second time I've been able to come to this facility and do a photo shoot, and it's just like, I mean, for me, I mean, I probably can't even add up how much money I've spent on equipment, but it's my passion, and everybody has their passion, and mine is lifting and training, and I take a lot of pride in the equipment I have in my personal gym, and there's a lot of stuff that I bought from you guys over the years, and get it equipped, but I need to have the best stuff in the world to train with, and if I'm going to be the best, I have to train with the best,
Okay, excellent. To go back a little bit, you were talking about your time as a basketball player. Were you built like a typical basketball player, or were you more muscular?
No, I always had to try hard to keep my body weight down, so like in the off season, like it was honestly nothing for me to put on 20 or 30 pounds, and it was just, if I would stop running so much, it would just like I would, just bump right up. So my strength was it's kind of funny when you look back on things in your life and like kind of start to realize how the puzzle pieces fit together. But I was always stronger than everybody I played against, so it wasn't like I would play against guys that might have been heavier body weight than me, but it was like when it came down to strength, like I could do whatever I wanted or move them wherever I wanted to. Yeah. And I wasn't a typical basketball player by any means. I mean, I feel bad about certain things, but actually I broke one guy's back, just kind of hitting him too hard, and I had a lot of guys that I broke their nose, and just different stuff that you wouldn't typically see, but I was pretty physical. I was more of a football player playing basketball, to be honest, but like in hindsight, I can see now that I was gifted with strength, and it worked out. I mean, there's you can look back and say, well, why didn't you play football, or why didn't you take that path a little bit differently? But maybe I would have blown my knee out or whatever. And I've been really fortunate on that end to not have major injuries, and my back is good. And I was lucky enough through that and getting into my strength and conditioning career to get hooked up with the right people and to learn from some of the best strength coaches. Joe Ken at Arizona State, when he was at Arizona State. I mean, he's had a long career, and he kind of was one of the first guys that taught me how to lift. Because you learn in college, and you can go and sit in a classroom all day long and read a book and think that, I have this degree and I have this certification, and it's one of the things that like he taught me is there's a lot to being in a weight room for years and having knowledge that comes from the weight room, not that you read in a book, and it really is something that like it's very hard to explain that, like especially to younger kids, because they come out of college and think they know everything, and they think they know. Well, this is what it says in a book, and this is a certification that I have, and whatever. And to me, to me, to be honest, it kind of makes me laugh, because they don't understand. They haven't put the time in under the bar. I mean, that's a lot of knowledge that I've gained, and I mean, I have. For me, it's maybe I'm a little bit more old school, but like I have a lot of. Really, I have a lot of respect for lifters that like just the whole strength community, and guys that have come before me and that like I've learned from, and so like going back to guys like Bill Kazmaier that I've been able to meet, or Magnus for Magnuson, or I mean, Strongman is kind of where I'm at. Like there's different power lifters. Like this weekend, Ed Cohn was judging our deadlift, and I mean, how cool is that? Cool. I mean, you're getting a down call from one of the best power lifters ever, and it's, to me, that it just means a lot, and I have a lot of respect for those guys, and I think some younger guys that are in the iron game need to have that approach now, and unfortunately there's not. I've seen and I'm not that old. I mean, I just turned 31, so I mean, I'm not like. I've been in it long enough to see certain things, but I can see even guys my age that don't approach it like that, and it's for me it's frustrating.
How did you make the transition from basketball to strength sports? Can you?
Well, to be honest, I just kind of got done, and then I went into being a strength coach, and that's when I got a spot at Arizona State and met up with Joe Ken there, because he was the head guy, and learned a lot. And like I got, some of the best times we had were lifting in his garage in Arizona when it was 120 degrees in the summer, and it was crazy. But I learned a lot there, and
without basketball, you probably thought you could put on some size.
Yeah, I got up over 300 pounds like pretty fast. I mean, it was like I don't really remember weighing like 270 or 280 or, I mean, it just for me, like I started learning how to eat more for strength and to train properly, and I just started getting bigger, but I was gifted with size, and I mean, it's just one of those things where I didn't have to try very hard to put weight on, so, and so that transition for me, like I kind of stepped into the role of a coach immediately after I was done playing in college, and I think I wasn't ready to be the coach yet, like I still felt like I had things to accomplish, and so that's when I kind of walked away from that and got back into, I didn't have a lot of direction, like at that age, it's kind of like I knew what I loved, but I didn't know how to put it into action, I guess, and so I came back, and I just actually was doing a couple odd jobs and whatever to pay the bills, and I just entered a strongman contest that was in Colorado, kind of a local amateur contest, and with pretty much no equipment, no formal training, no nothing, and I won that contest, and just kind of got addicted to it, and I'm competitive, and I started, just with my background, researching it more, and I had a guy weld me some stuff out of his garage, and then I started, just started my collection, I guess, of equipment, and I would fly out and train with different guys that I had met or that were pros or whatever, that I knew that I could get better, like I could learn from. And so that's how I started. And then I just kind of started working my way up, and really I turned pro with Strongman. It was about 7 months after I started that contest. So it was just a natural thing for me. And after that, I had qualified and made it like up to the international level and started doing international contests basically about a little bit over a year after that. And then just went up from there. Like, just, you keep winning, you keep doing better. And so I, I've got to the level I'm at in, relatively short time, but I've been able to stay at the top, and adapt, I guess, get better.
What would you list as the accomplishments you're most proud of?
Well, at the top of my list is winning World's Strongest Man. I mean, that's like, I've watched that since I was a kid. I didn't know that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid, but I loved it, and I knew I just loved watching those guys and everything they did. So that for me is probably, that's got to be number one. That's going to be number one on a lot of guys' lists, and because that's something nobody can ever take away.
Yeah.
And of course, winning the Arnold Classic Strongman, that's a huge contest that, the top 10 guys in the world get invited to, and, to be able to win that and, set some world records. And, there's a lot of things that I've done in Strongman and with strength that I'm proud of. But, those, and I could list a lot of stuff, but, it's winning World's Strongest Man has got to be at the top,
Okay. And between those contests, they're very different in how they're done. Can you describe that to people?
Well, the Arnold, Terry Todd runs the Arnold. He's the head of that committee that runs the Arnold Strongman contest. And for him, and I would tend to agree, like he thinks that the best way to find out who the strongest man is by testing maximal strength.
Yeah, less endurance based.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would. On most accounts, I would agree with that. Like whoever is maximally the strongest is the strongest, because there's a lot of guys, of course you can look at a lot of charts and different things and say, well, if you can handle, a certain amount of weight for a certain amount of reps, you should be able to max at whatever weight. But that doesn't always hold true.
Yeah.
And so that's how the Arnold is designed. It's the heaviest weights of any contest. Every year they take it up, so it's a new world record, like for certain events. And it's heavier. It's heavier, less reps. It's a lot heavier weight. Whereas World's Strongest Man is certainly, by no accounts, light, but it's different. It's a different setting too. It's normally held outdoors, whereas Arnold has to fit the stage, and you have to find events that fit the stage. So World's Strongest Man has got where there's more events that are strength endurance. And a lot of people, I guess you could say that maybe that World's Strongest Man finds the best strength athlete. Versus the Arnold finds the strongest man. But I think it's harder to win World's Strongest Man, and the reason that I would personally say that is because it's done. People don't really realize you have to go through a qualifying round, which is basically a whole contest.
Yeah.
And then you take a break, and then you start the finals, which is a whole new contest. And so from a mental side, it's very hard to approach that contest mentally and handle it and keep going to sleep and keep getting up. And the way that it's done, sometimes you only do one or two things a day. And then, of course, you start feeling a little bit more beat up each day when you wake up. And at the end of it, like you're just both mentally and physically exhausted. So it's very hard to keep it together and win that contest out of 30 guys, there's, of course, all the events are always changing, and there's a little bit to, getting good events, and, but I've always kind of said too, it's, if you can have no weaknesses, then it doesn't matter what events they pick. And I feel like the way that I've been able to place over the last 4 years, basically, like with being in the, right at the top of the finals every year, it's I feel like I'm one of the only guys that's been able to adapt my training enough to be consistently at the top of everything, where I don't, like, you can't really pick out one event where I've got a huge weakness, where a lot of the guys at that level, if they get the wrong draw of events, they may not be able to crack the top three,
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your training. How would you break up your training week?
Well, it's a tough question to answer in a short period of time, because I really train specifically for each contest that I have to do. To give kind of a brief explanation, I basically, the main list that I focus on would be an overhead press, because typically we get, every contest you have some type of, either it's a log press for us, or axle, or dumbbell, or something overhead, standing overhead press. Squatting is huge, and then also deadlift. Those are the big, kind of like our big three, whereas, it would be very close to powerlifting, of course, except for the bench press would kind of take priority over their overhead press. So I typically during the week, those 3 days happen for me. So I vary, kind of based on the contest, I'll vary the deadlift. Like I would maybe change the height or apparatus that I would deadlift on, or like the squat bars. I normally go through a cycle of different squat bars with a lot of specialty bars. I don't normally squat with like a straight bar, just because I feel like for me, it takes a toll on my shoulders that where a safety squat bar or a spider squat bar, or a cambered bar or something would work more back for us, and it kind of translates a little bit better. So I do some different stuff like that, but I really I cycle it through, where it's normally about 4 weeks, and then kind of a deload is typically what I would get. But then as the contest gets closer, I would do more event training than specific gym lifting. Okay. So I kind of try to build that base up, and then as the contest gets closer, now the hard part with us is we don't know exactly when we're going to find out what we have to do. So I kind of have to, in a way, guess. Like based, like for the most part, when you go to World's Strongest Man, there might be truck pull. So I would throw that in and try to build that up a little bit, because you can kind of guess that's going to be their like Atlas stones or something that's kind of a given that's going to be there. So I would throw that in consistently on event training days. But then as I find out what we're going to actually have, I'll gear the training where I'll even do event training during the week. So I know that's it's tough, because I'm sitting here and I'm jumping all over the place, but it's it's so hard to train, because certain events are for max strength, certain events are for endurance.
And I'm guessing World's Strongest Man, there's more different energy systems involved than you would with Arnold.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so hard. For me, the biggest thing is to not overtrain, and it's so hard to not do that in a week with World's Strongest Man, I might have to get ready for 12 different things, and so it's very, very difficult. And a few years ago, I was worse at overtraining and overworking myself, because you feel like you need to try to train everything, whereas now, like, I'm a little bit, just because I have a better base level of strength, I think I can. Certain things I can kind of naturally, I don't want to say it's like riding a bike, but I can kind of know where I'm at, like on a world level, like with certain things. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with, if I run through stuff, I kind of know where I'm at. So it's from that aspect, it's absolutely different than the Arnold, because that's, the Arnold is typically, like, this year was only 4 events. Normally it's 5, very heavy. I think it's actually in a way easier to train for that, because you can kind of, it's easier for me to cycle up and down and not overtrain, even though it is heavier. Which is kind of funny. Like,
probably more overlap in the different exercises.
Exactly.
That they're going to choose, the different events they're going to choose.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We see you in the ads for MHP. You've got
Sure.
the shirt on. This photo shoot was for MHP. Tell us a little bit about your nutrition and how that works into it.
Well, nutrition for me is huge. you know, I got a base knowledge. Like I didn't go into it blind, you know, like from when I started, I've tried to get better with everything, and obviously the fuel that you put in your body is, I mean, it's everything. I mean, you wouldn't want to put, you know, like really crappy gas into a high performance car engine, you know. So like for me, it's important what I put in. I work with a nutritionist. Obviously, I'm trust MHP and their products, and for me, I mean, I use a lot of like Up Your Mass. I mean, calories are very important, but you don't want empty calories either, you know. So like that's when I first was starting, and you're trying. When I kind of got to that point where I needed to try to gain weight, because for me, my height is, I have to be. I mean, there's just no way I can compete if I'm not 420 pounds plus. You know, it's just, I can't. Like I found out that my static strength isn't as good, and my frame can handle it easily. Whereas certain guys, like they may need to be only 330 pounds or something. You know, like it's just different. But they might be 8 inches shorter than me too. Yeah. So it's kind of I found out like I needed to add more calories, but then you're trying to eat just almost too much junk food and not feeling as good. So I've kind of tried to clean up. Like I've cleaned my diet up, and I've been working with MHP now for about 3 years. Is what I've been a sponsored athlete with them, and I've taken their products before that, which is nice to be able to get on with somebody that like you believe in their product, because you know, I mean, if it would be not, I wouldn't like telling people that I use it if I didn't use it, you know. So for me, that's important, and you know, I feel like they put a lot of research into their stuff and have a, you know, good quality stuff. So I use it daily. You know, I mean, I do, and so that's a big part of my diet. But I really go with, for me, it's a lot of grass-fed beef, chicken, salmon, you know, sometimes tuna, depending, and you know, pretty much base it around the protein, you know, and then add in good carbohydrate on top of that, and vegetables.
About how many meals a day do you keep track?
I'm leading up to like a contest like the Worlds or the Arnold. I'm normally about 7 or 8, depending on the day and how the schedule works. But it's a full-time job. I mean, there's no. That eating for me, like I always say, everybody thinks training's the hard part. It's not. I think eating's the hard part for me. You know, if I didn't have to eat every 2 hours, you know, it's a job. I mean, it's cooking the food, it's you know, having it packed when I go somewhere, like, and it's so important. But you know, you can tell the difference when you do it and when you don't do it. And I don't perform as well, so it's just a commitment you have to make, and it's part of, you know, me being a professional. You know, so. It's big, but you know, it's an all day thing from when I get up to when I go to bed. I'm eating or drinking a shake or whatever. So, but it works, man. I mean, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it done. You know.
What should we look for in the future from you? What's your competition plans? You mentioned that you have a website where you're going to be sharing some information. Tell people about that a little bit. I've been working on bringing up basically like. What it's going to be, strongmanacademy.com is going to be the website, but it's really going to, there's not enough, in my opinion, there's not enough information with strongman, and I get questions all the time about how to train or different lifts, or you know what I see people doing it, and it's getting very popular, especially now with CrossFit doing it, and you know, there's a lot of amateur strongmen that are coming up that they're kind of like me. They don't really have anybody to help them, you know. And so it's going to be even for the average person that just goes to the gym, that they're sick of just going through the machine circuit and want to do something different that's more functional, that's more fun. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I mean, it's going to have a lot of information on it, and should be great. I'm putting a lot of work into it, so it's, you know, I'm hoping it's going to be really good, and hopefully I can share some of the knowledge that I've gained over the years from going to all these different contests and meeting different guys and speaking to them and whatnot, and hopefully help anywhere from the average person to the most serious top level competitor. So that's big. And then for me, as far as like upcoming contests, what I'm focusing on, there'll be
The Arnold in Brazil is coming up, and I think I'll probably end up competing at that one. And then, I mean, my whole year pretty much is based around the Arnold here in Ohio and World's Strongest Man, wherever that is in the world. But they fall far enough apart for me that those are my two main contests that I focus on now. I used to do a lot more contests when I was trying to build myself up and when I needed more experience and whatever. But now it's I really, with my gym, I train with I have my own private gym that I train with some serious guys, and we're competitive enough. And I'll fly in other guys from around the world to compete. You know, have them come in to train because it makes me more competitive too, and it helps them. So I'm always competing. You know, even if I'm not doing a contest, like I'm always there. But those are the main ones that I'm going to focus on. I'll probably do that contest in Brazil coming up, and then we'll see if the Arnold, Europe happens again. I'm assuming they're going to start doing that, and so I'll probably start following that with MHP and I mean, the Arnold's getting a lot bigger too. So those are big. I mean, for me, it's always focusing on the bigger contests now. Okay.
And at your age, you've got quite a while ahead of you. How long do you think you'll be doing this, and what type of legacy do you want to leave?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I love it. I've always kind of said to myself, if there comes a day where going to the gym is a job and I don't want to do it, or I don't love doing it, then I'm gonna stop. But I'm hoping that I can walk away on my terms. I mean, last year, and I mean, I know I haven't said a lot because I'm not one of those guys that likes to, I don't like to throw a lot of stuff out there that's like, oh, poor me, whatever, like I've gone through a lot. But this last year, at this contest here in Ohio at the Arnold, I tore my left bicep, detached it. So I had that surgery, and I was coming back from that, and I was actually kind of developed a bad sleeping position, and so I went through some pretty bad nerve damage in my elbow and wrist, and it caused me it's really weird, but it's amazing how important nerves are, and you don't. It's kind of funny. Your health is one of those things where you have it and it's good. You don't worry about it. You don't think about it until it's not working. Something's not working right. But so I kind of, with World's Strongest Man last year, I actually got to the point that it was so bad that I lost function of my left hand, where I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't even get dressed. Like I was, but I don't show. What am I trying to say? I don't show weakness, and I never have. I kind of had a college coach that said, it's one of those things you either get up or you get carried off the court. And I've kind of always taken that approach. So I never really have told many. You're actually probably the first interview I've really mentioned that to people. But I went through. It's been a pretty tough road to get to this contest for me, and I actually didn't. I really didn't get to decide at Christmas. Like I actually had a surgery scheduled for my arm because I got told that was the only way I was going to get function on my hand back, and I didn't really want to believe the doctors that were, you don't. I'm kind of hesitant to let anybody cut me open, So I it's been a lot, and I kind of got some things fixed with my sleeping, and we could go on and on about that, to be honest, but. It's been a long road, and for me it's come back, and I've kind of overcome a lot to get here, to this weekend, and it's been big for me. So for me it was there was a scare that I was kind of going to be done, and there were a couple doctors that told me that I wasn't, they thought that I was going to have to live with it, and coming here to the Arnold, I set a few new world records at this contest this weekend, and to me that's kind of like proving that you don't let anybody tell you what you can do. You show people what you can do, So I want to go out on my terms, but as far as what legacy I would want to leave, if I could get mentioned even in a discussion of the strongest men to ever live, that would be unbelievable to me, because I've got to meet some of those guys even this weekend and take pictures with them and just shake their hand, and for me that would mean the world. If it's hard to, there's different eras and different you know, they're different generations, you know, but if you know, if I could get done and I had, you know, however many World's Strongest Man titles, or how many Arnold titles, or world records, or different things, you know, that would be, just to be mentioned in that argument, even close to it, would be pretty cool, you know. So that's what I would like to do, you know. So hopefully, you know, this is kind of something where it's I've looked at it like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, you know. So I've overcome a lot in my career and had some, you know, tough defeats, and I've always tried to find the positive side of it, you know, and come out stronger, come out better. So, you know, if I can walk away on my terms, and I could be mentioned somewhere in that argument, that would be what I would want.
I think you've already accomplished that. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot, man. Thank you very much.
It's great having you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.